Welcome back to the Rise Up podcast, where we explore the stories and struggles that shape our world. Today, we're diving into the complex landscape of teen mental health, with a focus on recent findings that offer both hope and cause for concern. We'll unpack the latest data on girls' mental health, discuss the persistent challenges, and highlight the urgent need for continued action. So whether you're a parent, educator, or simply someone who cares about the well-being of young people, stay tuned for a conversation that matters. As families across the United States gear up for the back-to-school season, there's a glimmer of positive news amidst the ongoing concerns surrounding teen mental health. It appears that girls, in particular, are experiencing a slight improvement in their emotional well-being. According to the latest Youth Risk Behavior Survey conducted by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the percentage of teenage girls reporting persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness has decreased from 57% in 2021 to 53% in 2023. Furthermore, the survey indicates a decline in suicidal ideation among girls, with 27% having seriously considered suicide in 2023 compared to 30% in 2021. Kathleen Ethier, the director of the CDC's Division of Adolescent and School Health, views this data as a sign of progress. In a news release accompanying the survey, she stated, "These data show that we've made some progress in tackling these issues in recent years, which proves that they are not insurmountable." This positive shift comes just a year after the CDC sounded the alarm about an unprecedented wave of sadness and trauma affecting teen girls, with many reporting difficulties in carrying out everyday activities like schoolwork or participating in sports. The latest findings, based on feedback from over 20,000 students across the nation, offer a ray of hope after years of deteriorating mental health among young girls, particularly in the wake of the pandemic. Dr. Ellen Rome, head of adolescent medicine at Cleveland Clinic Children's Hospital, expressed cautious optimism. "It's always encouraging when fewer kids report experiencing persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness. But the numbers are still overwhelmingly high and should provoke thought and concern and action to help." The report highlights that female students continue to face greater mental health challenges compared to their male counterparts. Dr. Anisha Abraham, head of the Division of Adolescent and Young Adult Medicine at Children's National in Washington, D.C., emphasized this disparity, stating, "The fact remains that half of female students who were surveyed still experience persistent feelings of sadness or helplessness." Even with these slight improvements, Dr. Gary Maslow, a professor of pediatrics at Duke University, urges caution. He paints a stark picture. Imagine being in a high school classroom of 20 kids with 10 girls, and half of them have been thinking about suicide. Unfortunately, the positive trend regarding girls' mental health is tempered by a concerning increase in reported school violence. The percentage of teens who felt threatened at school rose from 7% in 2021 to 9% in 2023. Similarly, the percentage of students who reported being bullied at school during the same period increased from 15% to 19%. The emotional toll of these experiences is particularly severe for students who identify as LGBTQ. The CDC report reveals that LGBTQ high school students face disproportionately higher rates of violence, poor mental health, and suicidal thoughts and behaviors than their peers. In 2023, nearly 3 in 10 LGBTQ students reported being bullied at school, and a staggering 2 in 10 attempted suicide. While the slight improvements in teen girls' mental health offer a glimmer of hope, the overall picture remains deeply concerning. It's clear that addressing the mental health crisis among young people, and particularly among vulnerable groups like LGBTQ students, requires sustained and comprehensive efforts from schools, families, and communities alike. And now, let's take a moment to expand our vocabulary and understanding. We've gathered 10 key words from today's discussion on teen mental health. These words not only enrich our understanding of the topic, but also equip us to communicate more effectively about these crucial issues. So, grab a pen and paper, or simply open your Notes app, because we're about to embark on a vocabulary-boosting journey. Persistent, continuing to exist or occur over a prolonged period. Example, The persistent rain caused flooding in the area. Hopelessness, a feeling or state of despair, lacking any expectation of a positive outcome. Example, the news of the job loss filled him with a sense of hopelessness. Suicidal ideation, thoughts or ideas about suicide, which can range from fleeting thoughts to detailed plans. Example, the therapist assessed the patient for suicidal ideation during the session. Insurmountable, too great to be overcome or dealt with successfully. Example, the challenges they faced seemed insurmountable at first. Unprecedented, never done or known before. Example, the pandemic caused an unprecedented disruption to global travel, deteriorating, becoming progressively worse. Example, the building's condition was deteriorating due to neglect. Disparity, a great difference or inequality. Example, the report highlighted the disparity in access to healthcare between rural and urban areas. Tempered, moderated, or lessened in intensity. Example, his excitement was tempered by a sense of caution. Disproportionately, to an extent that is too large or too small in comparison with something else. Example, minority groups are disproportionately affected by poverty. Vulnerable, susceptible to physical or emotional attack or harm. Example, children are particularly vulnerable to the effects of bullying. As we close this episode of the Rise Up podcast, we're left with a mix of emotions. The slight improvements in girls' mental health are encouraging, but the ongoing struggles faced by so many teens, especially those in vulnerable groups, remind us that there's much work to be done. It's on all of us to create a world where young people feel supported, empowered, and hopeful. Remember, you're not alone in this fight. Reach out to your loved ones, seek help if you need it, and let's continue to rise up together. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Rise Up podcast.